ربي قد أتيتني من الملك وعلمتني من تأويل الأحاديث فاطر السماوات والأرض أنت ولي في الدنيا والآخرة توفني مسلما والحقني بالصالحين. Wonderful. You will find this dua in Surah Yusuf, which is chapter 12 of the Quran. I think it's in ayah 100 or 101. Now, this prayer was taught to me and to all my siblings and in my entire family. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashraf al-mursaleen, Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Now, how do you want to leave this world? I mean, when the time comes and Allah calls you home, you want to leave smiling, happy, while others around you are crying? Or you want to leave crying while others are laughing? These are the two scenarios the Prophet ﷺ told us will happen when a man passes on. Either he leaves the world smiling, happy, or he leaves the world crying, even though people will not see him crying because his body is not functioning anymore, but his spirit is crying. A good person that leaves this world will leave the world smiling, happy, and a bad person will leave the world crying, weeping, miserable. But you know what? You can choose the end for yourself. You can choose the exit, the way you want to exit this world, the way you want. And this is how to do it. The Prophet ﷺ taught us that the Prophet Yusuf ﷺ said a prayer that meant the world to him. And he said it close to when he was departing the world. And the prayer is, Rabbi, Allahumma, Rabbi, قد أتيتني من الملك وعلمتني من تأويل الأحاديث فاطر السماوات والأرض أنت ولي في الدنيا والآخرة توفني مسلما والحقني بالصالحين. Wonderful. You will find this dua in Surah Yusuf, which is chapter 12 of the Quran. I think it's in ayah 100 or 101. Now, this prayer was taught to me and to all my siblings and in my entire family in the masjid built by my grandmother, by my father. Whenever he led us in prayer, at the end of the prayer, this is the dua he always made. And then he will make it all inclusive. ربنا آتيتنا من الملك وعلمتنا من تأويل الأحاديث فاطر السماوات والأرض أنت ولينا في الدنيا والآخرة توفنا مسلمين والحقنا بالصالحين توفنا مسلمين والحقنا بالصالحين توفنا مسلمين والحقنا بالصالحين في طاعة الله في طاعة الله في طاعة الله في طاعة رسول الله اللهم ارزقنا بالقول لا إله إلا الله Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And what the explanation my father gave was that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if you are able to say La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah as your last wordings before you pass on, you are guaranteed al-Jannah bi qudratillahi ta'ala. And guess what? Only those that are allowed or permitted to say it by Allah Azza wa Jalla will be able to say it. By Allah's mercy and by Allah's grace, we'll be able to say it. And this was what my father taught us for so many years, and it became a part of us. Fast track to when my father was leaving this world. He left the world on a Friday morning, just before Fajr, and I was with him all through the night. And before he was unable to speak again, he and me, we were engaging in azkar. He was leading the azkar. He would choose one azkar, La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah, Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa sallam, and so many. And each time, each azkar that he chose, he will end it with Salatul Fatih. And then when he was not able to speak again in the midnight, he did this dua before he wasn't able to speak again. Allahumma Rabbi ربنا أتيتنا من الملك وعلمتنا من تأويل الحديث فاطر السماوات والأرض أنت ولينا في الدنيا والآخرة توفنا مسلمين والحقنا بالصالحين. Wonderful prayer. He's asking Allah, he's telling Allah that you taught us everything that we know. And you gave us the clarity that we enjoyed. When you're going to take our life, tawaffana muslimina, take our life when we are in the state of Islam, when we are Muslims. Walhiqna bis-salihin, and join us with the people that are devoted to worshiping you, the utmost righteous people, people that have attained the level of ihsan. Count us amongst them, join us with them, and let us not die except in obedience to you, in obedience to you, in obedience to you, and in obedience to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then he wasn't able to speak again. And then I decided to recite Surah Al-Kahf as my parting gift for my father. So I recited Surah Al-Kahf. I went all the way halfway when Allah took his life, And then I continued with the presentation of my gift. That Friday, that calf was not for me, but for my father. And guess what? I left him. I called my siblings, everybody. I called the nurses from the nurses station. The doctors came and then they certified him dead. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. So when my siblings came, we all, we covered him up, and then we went to observe Fajr. When we came back to see my father, the cloth that we put over his head was down by his chest, and he had this beautiful, amazing smile on his face. He was smiling so beautifully, like he was alive and he was seeing something that's making him happy, or he was having a beautiful dream, and he was smiling and smiling. And we were like, wait a minute. I rushed to the nurse's station. I called one of the nurses. I asked them, did anybody go into Daddy's room? They said, no. Since you guys went to pray, nobody went in there. So who pulled down the cloth to his chest? The nurses couldn't answer that question. And none of us was there. And he was smiling. And I just could not but thank Almighty Allah for my father's exit from this world. And I saw the wisdom in the prayer he taught us. رَبَّنَا أَتَيْتَنَا مِنَ الْمُلْكِ. You have blessed us with so much. وَعَلَّمْتَنَا مِنْ تَأْوِيلِ الْأَحْدِيثِ. And you have taught us the interpretation of things, of knowledge. رَبَّنَا أَتَيْتَنَا مِنَ الْمُلْكِ وَعَلَّمْتَنَا مِنْ تَأْوِيلِ الْأَحْدِيثِ فَاطِرَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ أَنْتَ وَلِيُّنَا فِي. You are the controller of the heavens and the earth. And you are our protecting friend when we are in this world. Tawaffana muslimina walhiqna bis-salihin. Take our lives as Muslims, walhiqna bis-salihin, and join us with the righteous people, with the righteous souls. Fi ta'atillah. Fully, in obedience to you. Fi ta'atillah, in obedience to Allah. Fi ta'atillah, in obedience to Allah. Fi ta'ati Rasulillah, in obedience to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. وارزقنا بالقول لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Grant us the blessings of the ability to say La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah before we depart this world. And my father was granted that gift, and he left the world smiling. This is the end I want to choose for myself. How about you? Do you have a nice story like that to tell? Drop it in the comment section and let us share it with the world, just as we're sharing my father's story with the world. And I look forward to doing this with you again. Don't forget to subscribe if you have not, and don't forget to share with your friends and family members. You never can tell who may benefit from this. I pray that Allah will grant us the grace to say the kalima before we depart this world. And I pray that Allah will grant us the grace to smile as we depart this world. My name remains Ganiat Akorede, and I'll see you next time. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi barakatuh. Masalam.